Chat, Monday the 5th, July. So while the Facebook Live is warming up and everyone's jumping on, hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Welcome to a Wealth Coffee Chat. For those coming back, as always, welcome to the regulars. Great to have you guys with us. There's a few jumping on now. If you're new to the show, give us a shout out in the chat. Say hello. My name is Jason Witten. Been property investing over 20 years. Coaching property investors over 18 with my business partner and my life partner right here, Jay Witten and Sam Saggers. And along the way, we've learned a few things. Morning, James. How are you, mate? Morning, Aaron. Good to see you, mate. A few people are on now. Good to see. So yeah, if you're new, give us a shout out. If you're coming back, welcome back to the show. In the mornings, around about 8 o'clock, we have a little coffee, talk about wealth, bit of a chat, certainly around the world of real estate. And hey, Debbie, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Sean, Chris, fantastic to see you guys also. So welcome along, gang. Good to see you as we get going. So yeah, good to be here on Monday. Had a good weekend. Got a haircut, so feeling a little bit fresh now, which is awesome. But today I thought we might have a bit of a chat, bit of a Wealth Coffee Chat. Morning, Nicole. Rodney's there too. There we go. Everyone's getting going on. I thought we might have a bit of a conversation, a bit of a chat about squeezing the most out of finance, because often, let me put my coffee down. Often, certainly in the early days when we're investing, I remember the days where there were more deals that you wanted to buy than you had money for. I don't know if anyone remembers those days, or you might be in those days right now. You're looking around and you're like, oh, wow, I'd love to get that deal. I'd love to get that deal. If I could wave a magic wand right now and I could get my 5, 6, 7 deals that I wanted in my portfolio, abracadabra, that would be amazing. But the reality is, for most of us, we don't have endless amounts of cash flow, or more importantly, serviceability from the lenders to continuously buy properties, because whatever it is, our income at this point might be limited for some reason. So this morning, I thought we might have a bit of a chat. I've had this question a few times. How do we squeeze the most out of where we're at when it comes to our borrowing, our portfolio, and sort of going the distance over time? Now, I always do this one because this always puts it in perspective for me, and hopefully for you as well. In the process, actually we'll put them at the bottom. In the process, acquisition, consolidation, and our lifestyle stage, this is where we're trying to get the most out of every cent we've got in the acquisition stage, squeeze it out. Now, this is quite common. A quite common occurrence. Let me do this. Oh, hang on. Just change my colors. Go a little bit fatter. There we go. Often, someone starts out with their own home and they've got a certain loan on that home, and then they can get some equity, okay? Everyone can follow along. You've either got equity or cash to get started, and then we get a couple of deals, a couple of investment properties as we go along. And the money, the equity that you had in your home is now invested in those investment properties. And you're probably, if you're following along, if you're following with me and getting the maximum out of every single bit that you're going along, you should be investing in this process at 90%, and interest-only lending if possible. Okay, interest-only lending if possible. Because it allows you to have more cash flow at this end of town when it comes to you getting more borrowing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So this is a common scenario where people sort of get a bit stuck. They get stuck in this sort of section and they want the third one. Where's the third one? or the fourth one or the fifth one, and then the lenders say, look, no more for you right now. You're a bit limited, you're a bit stuck. We're not going to give you any more money. So what are some ways we can tweak or unlock the ability to borrow and buy the next property deal? Well, here's a few suggestions, okay? Now, some of these suggestions, some people might not be able to take on board, but the reality is if you want that next deal, sometimes you've got to do something a little bit different to get the next deal, to get the next outcome as we go along. The number one thing, we can get rid of the consolidation. The number one thing for all of us right now, we can get the next deal if our own income goes up. Now that's not groundbreaking, Jason, all right? But let me tell you, folks, I've seen this again and again and again when there's a reason you want to get number 3, this next property, and what that means is if you're on, let's say, 85K, and you want to get the next deal, if you can get your 85K up between 25 and 30K of extra income, that gives you the next deal, okay? Now, that's not as hard as it sounds, because many of us are already in line for a promotion, a pay rise, or if you're very good at your job, you could be changing jobs and going somewhere else. Now, like I said at the start of this is not for everyone, but I've certainly got many clients that got it in their mind that they were going for the next pay rise, the next job opportunity, the next whatever, because this next 10 to 15 years, that's all we got, folks, when it comes to, if you're like, oh no, that's all we got. If you're 35 or 40 right now, you know, you've got a good year window, like you've got a 10, 15 year window of high earning potential, good borrowing potential, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? So number one, get your income up, you or your spouse. And this is kind of, I'll do a 1A on this. And this is atypical. I'm not making any judgments here. Often there'll be one working person in a partnership, in a couple, and one person potentially staying at home, looking after the kids, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we've seen this often, and crazily, going to work and then paying for daycare often makes no sense, right? Makes no sense because it's bloody expensive. I get it. However, on paper, for borrowing, it makes a lot of sense, okay? And so many people will get some part-time but permanent work for you and your partner. So partner, go back to work. Now this is an interesting thing. You might only have to go back to work for 6, 12, 18 months, whatever it might be, to get access to the leverage to buy the properties. The properties are positive cash flow. You put in a buffer and they will take care of themselves, okay? All right, that's an easy one. So get your income up, gang. Get your income up. That is one that's really important. Now, expenses down is going to be irrelevant. A lot of people go, oh, you know, reduce your expenses, your living expenses. No, it's completely irrelevant. But what is relevant is things like credit cards, any high interest debt, okay? Get rid of them. Get rid of high interest debt, any credit cards, any, I don't know about car loans and stuff like that. Normally, those car loans are kind of like reasonably low interest in comparison. Credit cards, HEX debts, often store, pay, lay-by. I'm showing my age now. What's it called these days? Somebody chuck it in the chat. This new thing that you can pay in installments or something like that. I've had a mental blank right now. But any of that crap there, any of that crap can ruin your ability to borrow. So get rid of it. Get rid of that stuff, okay? Afterpay. Thanks, Candace. Yeah, I knew it was there, and I was just like, oh, what is it? Under pressure. Anyway, get your income up. Thanks, Rodney. Thanks, Candace. Get your income up, and don't worry about reducing your personal expenses, like shopping at Aldi compared to Woolworths, and it's irrelevant wherever you shop. But that's not going to help, gang. Okay, that won't help. Yeah, there's like a million now. You're right. Okay, so get your income up. That is the most important one. Now, in here, another sort of a 2A on this one is make sure you get your rents going up as well and claim your tax deductions. Okay, over there as you go along, tax deductions in that sort of stuff. All right. So, income, get your other things down over here. Okay, a couple of things we can do in and around this sort of spot here. Now, if you're not very functional in your lending here, often we find our own home is badly structured when it comes to finance, okay? So if you are sitting there with your own home, restructure your PPR. Okay, now, what do I mean by that? I just showed an example. I received some of the paperwork from one of my loans yesterday on the weekend, and we've now got it. It's gone down from 30 years to 18 years. Okay, it's just kicked over from an interest only to a principal interest. We're going to reset that now because we've just finished our financial year. Reset our tax returns and go reset that loan. Now, what we're going to do, that loan's been on autopilot for many years. We're going to restructure that loan and we're going to put it back to a 30-year term, interest only. Okay? So we're taking it from 18 and we're going back to 30 years. Okay? Many lenders or many brokers will try and put you on a 25-year loan. No. We'll just refinance where you're at. We'll just reset this loan at 18 years and just reset the terms, not the term of the loan. No, reset that for 30 years. See if you can get better payment terms on interest only. That reduces significantly the dollars per month or per fortnight or whatever that you're paying on that loan. That helps with servicing. That helps with unlocking the ability to borrow and get that next deal. Okay. Now, this is if you want acquisition. Okay. Debt reduction is part of the process, gang, and you guys know I've talked about this before. In consolidation, that's consolidation. Acquisition is about squeezing out every cent, every dollar that is safe for you to use to buy and build your portfolio. And over here is where you have your debt plan, your debt reduction plan, okay? If you have spare cash flow, you can put it towards reducing the debts that you want to, or you can put it towards servicing debts that you want to buy another property with, okay, as you go along. Now, a couple of little tips in here, gang, as we go. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. One thing, Vivian, bye-bye. Let me choose the color. Which color should we use? I'll use blue. I'll try that. There's a pink there. I'll use some pink. Yeah, some of the lenders might say no, okay? So they say, oh, no, I'm not going to lend you any more money. That happens very normally. Make sure you're talking to a good quality finance broker who understands your position and situation, and find out what do I need to do to get them to say yes, okay? Now, maybe you need to get your income up 15 or 20 grand. Maybe you need to pay off that credit card. Maybe you need to. You need a strategy and a plan, okay? That's how you get the squeeze, get the most out of where you're at. Make sure you understand what it looks like, because it's only no looking at what you've got right now. And this is the thing we stop at. So they said no. Well, you don't have a plan now. You don't have what things to aim or improve. Then you need to ask what that looks like. I want to borrow and buy a property. I want to buy a $550,000 property, renting for $550 a week. What do I need to do? What's my finance need to look like? What do I need to look like to get that next deal? Tell me what it is, okay? And a good quality investment finance broker will give you some guidance on what that situation needs to look like, so you have something to aim for, okay? Which is important as we go along. Now, a few things, gang. If you've got kids, they can be expensive and they can ruin your serviceability. It's an interesting one. All right, so make sure you get your loans before you have them, or once the kids are 18 or over. Once the kids are 18 or older, then they don't become a dependent anymore. So this is an interesting one. So you might have some kids, they might be teenagers, they might be 16 now, 15, 14. If you're on the home stretch, if you're on the back run when it comes to their age to 18, along the way, just remember, keep in your mind, once they crack over 18, they are now deemed to be independent adults, especially if they've got their own jobs and work, and you do not now you can remove them off of your lending application for servicing, and that improves your servicing significantly. Okay, so that one, just keep it in mind. If they're under 18, there's not much you can do about it. They're expensive in reality and in servicing, but a plan, obviously. If you're a young couple right now and you're planning on having some kids in the next little bit, let's get a plan in place for your borrowing and your lending. Maximize that out before you go and start the family, which is always good. Yeah, let's hope that whoever that is. Yeah. Well, technically, I don't know. Technically, they're dependents. Lots of kids are dependents for quite a while these days, aren't they? Yeah. All right. And so, if they're over 18, they're no longer a dependent, and you're servicing as you're going along, which is good. So just make sure we understand, those things and what that looks like as we go along. All right. Well, I think that's about it, gang, folks. Get your income up. Now, income has another thing. You can do some side hustles and you get some extra income. The side hustle income, remember this, getting your income up, side hustle income won't count unless it's consistent for 2 years, okay? It won't count. Now, you might sell some stuff on Amazon. You might do some side hustle on the weekend. It builds, it's cash, but it doesn't count for servicing for 2 years unless it's consistent, okay? Just remember that one, gang, as you're going along. Retune your loans that you've already got. Retune them, especially our PPR. A lot of people think, oh, I've only got 10 years to go. Now, that's perfect. Continue to pay and smash the debt down. We've talked about this. We've talked about it. You can have a 30-year term, but you can pay it off in 10 years if you want to, okay? The term is the commitment to the lender on paper for servicing, but you can make whatever payment you want. Now, I prefer to put it in the offset account until I'm ready to absolutely 100% know that I'm going to debt reduce that and I don't need access to the capital. But don't get confused about that. It's the term and the commitment on paper, not the actual payments that we are making, okay? As we go along, gang, it's pretty important to do that and get rid of high credit card debt, high interest debt, gang. Credit cards, like I said before, credit cards, any of that sort of stuff, it will absolutely poleaxe your ability to borrow, okay? Just remember this, going along, some lending, dependents, kids, as you go, they can be, when they fall off, then you're good to go as well. Another little outlier is that buying a property using your super. I've got a couple of properties in my super, and it's kind of like if you've structured that properly and if it's appropriate for you, check with your advisor. Obviously, this is not financial advice in that sort of space, but again, that's another one where I've been able to, when I've been stuck from borrowing, I could buy something in my super because my super had cash and cash flow as we go along. All right, gang, that's it. I think we're done and dusted. Wealth Coffee Chat done for the Monday, 8/26, 5th of July. There you go, done and dusted. Have an awesome rest of your day. Join me tomorrow around about the same time for another Wealth Coffee Chat, gang. And as always, chuck me a comment in the chat if you've got something that might be topical, might be interesting, might be worth chatting about. Always happy to shed some light, offer an opinion, an educated comment in and around what we're all up to as property investors. Remember, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. And the best way to make this thing work is to buy well, never sell. All right, that's it from me. Over and out. Wealth Coffee and Chat done. See you tomorrow, folks.